Welcome to session 15, Marketing Copy That Sells. Copy is about the words you use to communicate in your marketing. The words in your marketing carry the message, the meaning, the ideas. If you want to master marketing, practice writing, speaking, and making videos of your copy. It's important to remember that the common denominator of marketing in almost every case is words. And not all words are equal. We talked about the idea of finding emotional hot-button words and phrases, listening to customers to find out what their fears, their fantasies, what their wants and aspirations are, and to use those words in our marketing. Because if the customers are using those words to describe the things they want and the things that they want to avoid, when we use those words, they will have a lot of meaning to the customer. Whereas if we use just a slightly different set of words that have meaning to us but not to the customer, well, it will carry a fraction of the impact. When writing and creating marketing copy, use short words, short sentences, and short paragraphs. Short words, short sentences, and short paragraphs. Short words are understandable by everyone. Short sentences break ideas into bite-sized pieces that keep communication clear. And short paragraphs look and feel friendly. They don't intimidate. You know when you see a government document or some kind of publication that scientists have created, and there are these long blocks of big words in these huge complex sentences, and you just kind of roll your eyes and say, I don't even know what to do with that? Well, the opposite of that is to create small blocks, small sentences, and small words. Most newspapers and other media publications are written at the 6th, 7th, 8th grade level to make sure that everyone can understand them. It turns out that not everyone has a PhD, and not everyone likes sophisticated, complex communication. If you use short words, short sentences, and short paragraphs, and you communicate in bite-sized pieces, and you make your content and your marketing look friendly, smart, sophisticated people will not resent you. Okay, they won't get mad at you. On the other hand, if you use long words and long sentences that are complex and long blocks of copy, big paragraphs that look intimidating, simpler people and less sophisticated will resent you, and worse, they'll just disappear because they'll be confused. So, short words, short sentences, short paragraphs. Here's the counterintuitive part. Use long, detailed, persuasive copy that tells your whole story. And I mean whole story literally and figuratively. Even though you're using short words, short sentences, and short paragraphs, you must use long copy to tell your entire story. And what you can do is a little thought experiment. Okay? Imagine that you were face-to-face with your customer. What would you need to tell them so they could make an informed decision? What I'd like you to do right now is imagine that you could identify a house that has a good prospective customer living in it. And you needed to go over to the door, knock on the door, they were going to open the door, and they were going to listen to you give them a sales pitch. Okay? You were going to sell them your product. But here's the trick. They can't speak. Okay? They can't speak. They can only stand there, motionless, with a blank look on their face, listen to your sales pitch, and at the end, make the decision whether they're going to buy or not. How much would you tell them? What would you say? How much of the story would you give them? Well, What I would do is I would do a lot of research to figure out what their fears and their frustrations and their wants and their aspirations are. I would interview my customers, interview my prospects. I would find all the hot button words. I'd use all the different tools that we've learned about in this program. I would give a great opening statement that pointed to benefits, that promised results and relief. I would tell my story. I would build rapport. I would give them bullets. I would give them subheadlines. In other words, I would give them everything that I had. I would be standing there for a long time, maybe 30 or 45 minutes. Okay, now it's hard to imagine walking up and talking to someone for 30 or 45 minutes without them saying anything. But that's what we need to do when we're creating really powerful direct marketing. Sometimes I write long-form sales letters that are 30, 40, 50 pages long to sell my products. Sometimes I create sales videos that are 30, 45, 60 minutes or longer to sell products. Now, not always, but usually I create a long, detailed, persuasive piece of copy that tells my whole story and gives my prospective customer everything that they need to know so that they can make an informed decision. So the first question that comes up when people hear something like this is, does anyone read, listen to, or watch long copy anymore? Right? So when someone sees a 30-page sales letter or a 45-minute video, they might ask, will anyone read that? Or will anyone watch that? While attention spans in copy are getting shorter, it's a bad bet to bet against long copy. John Carlton, probably top copywriter, copywriting trainer in the world right now, he says, don't bet against long copy. Okay? Sometimes short copy works, but don't bet against the longer copy because it usually works a lot better. And the answer to does anyone read, listen to, or watch long copy anymore is if you were interested in the topic, you would read it. If you had the problem, the fear, the frustration, the anxiety, if you had the desire, the interest, you would read it. And I'll tell you that if I had some type of a fear or a frustration, there was something wrong with my relationship, I had a health issue, something happened in my life financially and I was concerned about it, and I went online and I found a video that was 30 minutes long that right at the beginning it said, in this video you're going to learn how to solve your problem. Okay? What I would do is pause the video, I'd turn off everything around me that was making noise, I'd get myself something to drink, and I would settle in because I would know that I was going to be there for a while. Okay, that's the power of great marketing, is when you really hit the nail on the head, when you meet a prospect's fears, frustrations, wants, aspirations, they will sit and they will go through your copy. I have written hundreds of email newsletters in the dating advice niche, many of them 15, 20 pages and longer. And there are people all over the world now who literally just wait for the email to come so they can sit and read it. And they read dozens and dozens and dozens of them. Why? Because it's a topic that they're interested in. So you would if you were interested. And that's the key. When you use all the tools we're talking about here, by the time someone gets to your long-form sales copy or your long-form video, they're interested. Now, it's important when writing copy, whether it's written or you're going to speak it, to use what's called speak right, as if you were sitting with your prospect in person. Writing marketing copy is an exercise in imagining that you are talking in person. Use what's called speak right so that your words sound friendly and personal. Speak to one person when you write copy. Now, for some reason, I think it's probably because we learn this when we're in school, we humans have a couple of different personalities. We've got multiple personalities of communication. And the different channels of communication have different voices. So we've got one channel of communication or one voice or one personality for when we're hanging out with friends, We've got one channel or one voice or one personality for when we're in professional situations, but we also have one for when we're writing. Most people write in a very different voice than the voice they use to talk or speak or converse in. When you're creating marketing copy, you do not want to use a formal writing tone. In fact, what you want to do is almost transcribe word for word what you would say if you were sitting in front of the person and they were a friend, someone that you knew. So what you want to do is speak right and imagine your prospect saying, "How can you help me solve my problem? What are the things that I don't even know that I don't know about my problem? What are the things I'm going to have to do to solve my problem? What happens if I don't pay any attention to my problem?" Imagine them asking you all of the questions that you would then answer in a conversational tone, and write it out. The other important aspect of speak writing is to imagine that you're talking to one person. Remember that anyone that's reading your website, reading one of your sales letters, watching one of your videos, remember that they're alone. Okay? They're alone and they feel alone. Even though they may be in a room with other people, they're the one that's listening to you, and the communication will be much more powerful if you speak directly to them. Again, imagining that you were sitting in a room with someone that you knew, liked, and trusted, or someone was on the other end of a phone and you knew, liked, and trusted them. Or you were making a video just to talk to one person that maybe you were related to. So you'd speak first person and you'd talk to them directly. And when you do that, when you have the mindset of I'm talking to one human being, so I have to talk to them only, and use words like you and your and here's what you should do, rather than I'm talking to all of you out there and for everyone listening right now, which doesn't sound personal. Okay? Now, these are counterintuitive things. What's intuitive is to go into the kind of formal, stilted tone that we do when we write, and also to talk at a large group of people rather than to one person. So we're going to be informal, and we're going to write the way we would talk. Also, it's important to speak the language of real customers, not fantasy customers. When you interact with your customers, listen to the way they talk. If you can, adopt their language, their phrases, and their tone, and adapt it to the copy you use in your marketing. The familiarity will build trust and credibility. As you interact with your customers, what you'll notice is most people use very simple language. They use simple phrases, they use simple sayings, and if you can pick up on these and you can start using them, you will feel like one of the family. And also the familiarity. Okay, this will just automatically build the feeling of, oh, you're like me. Hey, you're like me. This makes sense. I can trust you because we're kind of the same. So speak the language of real customers, not fantasy customers. A tendency I've noticed that business owners have is they imagine that all of their customers are highly sophisticated, wealthy, developed people. Okay? And that turns out to not be the case in most cases. Most of the time, you have regular people, okay, regular folks like you and I, who like to hang out on the weekend, who have an IQ of 100, who are 30 pounds overweight, who have relatively low self-esteem, who probably have a pretty good probability of, having been recommended depression medication in the last few years, and on and on and on. Okay, they're regular people, your customers. So talk to them like, regular people language. Don't try to be fancy because that just alienates people. Next, only talk about things that are directly relevant to your prospect. Don't use a bunch of hype or fluff or sensationalism. Okay, if you can help it at all, don't hype. Keep every part of your message focused on something that's emotionally relevant and motivating. Keep the motivator in your mind as you write your copy. Don't forget it. So again, I do a lot of work in the information world where I teach various courses on things like dating and relationships and money and business. And I've worked around a lot of folks because I've trained thousands of people all around the world how to do this as well. And let me just ask you, if let's say you were $35,000 in credit card debt, and you were trying to figure out how to get out of credit card debt, and you went online, and you found two different videos. And the first video started off, and it said, "I'm the smartest person in the world when it comes to getting out of credit card debt. I've got the best systems in the world for helping you get out of credit card debt. And I'm the one you want to call if you've got debt and you want to get rid of it, because I am the best." Okay, so let's contrast that as the opening to the opening of a hypothetical second video where video comes on and the person says, "If you have between $20,000 and $30,000 of credit card debt and you would like to eliminate all that debt in less than 3 years, this video is going to show you how." Okay, so much more literal, but talking directly to the prospect. Which one of those is going to be more compelling? Of course, the second one, because it's speaking exactly to you, to your needs. It's specific. It doesn't sound like a bunch of hype. Okay, so be careful with the hype. I sometimes get a little too excited myself and hype a little more than I should, but don't use it if at all possible. Stick to the facts, because when you've got someone, when you've done a good job choosing your niche and targeting your market, listening to the words they use, using emotional hot buttons, stair-stepping them through your process, et cetera, they're already ready. What they need to hear is that you know how to deliver the benefit or the result or the solution or the relief that they want. And here's a great way to write your copy and write it quickly. Make an outline of questions, answer them, and then transcribe it. Okay, so make an outline of the questions that your prospects are asking, they should ask, and that you would like them to ask, and then speak the answers, the way you would answer them if you were talking to a regular person or a friend or a family member. You can record this and transcribe it. You could use a service to transcribe it. Online, you can get transcribers pretty cheap. However you do it, this is a great way to start creating speak-right copy that sounds very friendly and personal. So, for example, what benefit will your prospect get from going through your message? Okay, right up front. What are they going to get if they read the letter or watch the video? What are they going to learn? What are they going to know how to do? What are the fears and frustrations your prospect is going through that you solve? What results, benefits, relief will your prospect get? How did you discover that the product works? Okay, how did you discover that it works? How can they know that it will work for sure? What's the proof? How have you tested it? Who else has used it? Okay, who is this for, and who is it not for? One of the things that I teach when I teach more advanced marketing courses on copywriting and marketing is I say, when you communicate with your prospects and your customers, you don't just want to communicate in a way that your prospect will hear and understand, and you don't just want to talk directly to them. You actually want to talk so directly to your customer avatar that you eliminate your non-prospects. You alienate them immediately. So, for example, in the example that I gave you a moment ago, I said, okay, imagine you started a video and it said if you have between $30,000 and $40,000 worth of credit card debt and you'd like to eliminate it in less than 3 years, I'm going to show you how in this video. Now, if you don't have $30,000 to $40,000 worth of credit card debt, that might alienate you. Okay, let's say that you've only got $2,500 worth of credit card debt. Now, if you've only got $2,500 worth of credit card debt, you may still watch the video, but it's very, very specific. I'm not talking to people who have mortgage debt, mortgages that are upside down, or other different types of debt. I'm talking about credit card debt. Now, you can get too specific, and you can cut out everyone, but most people are not in danger of that. Okay, so talk directly to your prospect and speak to who it's for and who it's not for. Because the more you can talk about who it's not for, the more your prospect can realize, oh, this was made for me. So let's do an exercise, writing copy that sells. Okay, you should be looking at your exercise that says writing copy that sells. Answer these questions in simple, plain language that stays focused on results, benefits, and relief that your prospect will experience. Try turning on a recorder and answering these questions the way you'd answer them if someone asked you in person, then transcribe what you say and use it as the basis for your copy. Okay, so first, what benefit will your prospect get from just going through your message? Again, sell them on reading your letter or watching your video. Next, what are the fears and frustrations your prospect is going through that you solve? Next, what results, benefits, relief will your prospect get? How did you discover that the product works? How can they know that it will work? Okay, what have you done to prove that it works? Who is this for, and who is it not for? Okay, answer these questions. Again, answer them in plain, simple language as if you were talking to one person who asked these questions. Speak right the way that you would say it out loud. Okay, finish this exercise, and I will see you in the next session of Marketing Step by Step.